In today's video, we're setting some goals. Hello again, and Michael here at Making Music, and today we are talking about setting ourselves some goals. Now, obviously this is going to have a very much musical focus, but you can use these techniques in a lot of things in life. I use these techniques for setting goals, whether it be financial goals, whether it be health goals, or anything else for that matter. So, lots to cover off today, but before we get into it, there's minimal ways to play music, minimal ways to go about it. My advice is based on my education, bachelor's degree from Trinity, master's degree from Royal College, and I've been teaching and playing professionally for over 20 years. Hope you find something you like. If you do, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Whatever you do, please leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts, and even better, if you would subscribe. It means an awful lot to get those subscriptions for me. It means I can continue to put out these videos. So please do subscribe to the channel. Right, so let's get into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover off a couple of different things I would do before you can get to it, and then I'll tell you how we're going to actually set those goals and some of the parameters you might want to use to make sure that they're not silly goals and something you can stick to. What I'm not going to do, I'm not going to tell you how you then go about achieving your goals afterwards. We'll leave that for a whole nother separate video, and I'm certainly not going to tell you what your goal should be. No. That's between you, your teacher, and whatever else you're looking to achieve. So the first thing I think you should do is take some time to reflect. Take stock of where you are and decide where you want to go. Now, I appreciate your goals can be short term, they can be medium term, and they can even be longer term. So you might want to break it down into those things. You may, for instance, have a goal that you want to be a professional musician, and you're only 12 years old. Well, that's going to be a much longer term goal. You might have a medium term goal, then you want to achieve your grade 8. Okay, so great, that's a medium term goal. And your shorter term goal might be, I want to get to the next grade, which might be grade 3 or something, I don't know. I'm just picking out random goals in my mind. So take some time to really think about what it is that you want. Best to make sure personally what I like to do is to be alone, make sure there's nobody around, so I'm not going to get any disturbances. Try to switch your telephones off, people. I know for the teenagers amongst you that might be quite tricky, and I do apologise if I'm being insensitive, because it's almost like a third arm for you guys. But look, avoid distractions, think about it, and really, decide on what it is that you want. Now, the next tip I have for you is discuss it with your teacher. Now, you know what I'm going to say, and I'll make no apologies for it. If you haven't got a teacher, get one. Just get one. Stop the video right now and go and get yourself a teacher. Go. If you're not sure, check out my video on whether you think you really need a teacher or not. I'll put the link somewhere, wherever it is. Check that out as well, but please, get a teacher if you haven't got one, because you'll save yourself so much time. But anyway, discuss your goals with your teacher. They will be able to guide you about keeping them realistic for you. For instance, just using that example that you've just done your grade 2 and you think about doing grade 3, and then one of your goals is, I want to play Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsody No. 2, and I want to do it before Christmas. Probably not going to happen, is it? No. Could it happen later on? Yeah, put enough practice in, do enough. Yeah, you could achieve it. But be realistic about these things, and this is where a teacher can really help you. They might also just give you things to think about that you never would have thought about. You might think, okay, well, I want to get to the next grade. Your teacher might say to you, that's a great goal to have, but one of the things which you're lacking is stage presence or confidence when you're performing. So let's work on that first before we get to doing the next grade. And here's a couple of things I think we can do in order to help address those problems. See what I mean? So that's definitely do consult your teacher or someone. And also, there's nothing wrong with asking other people as well, people that you trust, and see what they think might be a good goal for you to be working on. But also do be aware that everyone has their own opinion and it's not necessarily going to be the right thing for you. I think was it Baz Luhrmann in the song about sunscreen. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's based on I think it was a university lecturer, dean or something. He said everyone was graduating, and the only advice he could give was wear sunscreen, which was quite an interesting topic. But then he goes about giving a load of other advice, and he says, advice is a form of nostalgia. Might get the word wrong here. The form of nostalgia. It's a way of taking the rubbish from the recycling, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. That's not to say that all advice is bad advice, but everyone has their own inflections, has their own viewpoint. So, yeah, be patient with those people who are supplying the advice. Listen to them, but you don't always have to take everything that they say to heart. Okay, now, so you have spoken to your teacher, and what do you do next? Well, this is I was kind of debating which way around do I want to put them. Do I want to put reflecting first or talk to your teacher first? Because you can do it either way around, but actually I would go one step further and reflect, then talk to your teacher, and then reflect again. So take on board everything they've said, and then one last time, have a think about it. By this time, your thought process will probably have gone quite far, and you'll probably be thinking quite clearly about what it is you want to achieve. But I think it's worth just looking at it one more time. Okay, and now you are ready to make those goals, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to use a methodology called SMART. So we're creating SMART goals. It's not quite what you think. Each letter stands for something. It's not a case of a SMART goal being, hey, I'm going to be healthier. Hey, that's super smart. Well done, you. No. So each of the letters, we're going to go through each one, and we'll show you how it holds together. And like I said, you can use this methodology in setting goals in lots of different things in your life, okay? So we're going to start with S. Surprise, surprise. S stands for specific. It is no good having a goal which is not specific. You do not want to have a goal which says, oh, I want to get better at the piano. Great, well done you. But what does that mean? Is it taking that next grade? Is it being better at your scales? Is it feeling more comfortable when you're on stage? Is it, there's many different things that go into being a better player. So yes, being a better player is one thing, but let's be more specific about it. Listen, it's really important to be specific when you are setting your goals. Now, the next letter, M, stands for measurable. That's right. So specific and measurable they kind of hang together a little bit, because in order to be specific, you have to be able to measure it, if that makes sense. But I appreciate in music, it's not always that easy to measure everything. You can't, you want to get better, but how do you measure getting better? There's very little mathematics in music from that perspective. At the end of the day, I've been to so many competitions where somebody has won it, for instance, and everyone's scratching their heads going, were we at the same concert? I've had it where literally my head of music, his deputy, myself, my teacher, my instrumental teacher, my piano teacher, and several other people were going, how did she win? Mike, you should have won that. It didn't make sense for all. So it's all, a lot of things are down to opinion. So even sometimes you can be up against someone who is nowhere near as good as you, you can still lose because it's somebody's opinion. So how do you actually measure stuff in music? Well, you could measure it by having just taken one's opinion, and this is where your teacher can come into play again. So you want to get better. You want your teacher to think that you can play this particular piece well enough for it to be on stage. That is your teacher's opinion. Absolutely fine. There you go. There's a goal. Can you say that it's a goal that everyone will think you're ready for it? No, because it's again subjective. But one person, I think, becomes a little bit easier. Now, another thing you might want to do is, for instance, if you take I think I've said scales a few times, so we're going to keep running with that one. Say you want to get better at your scales. Again, specific. You can't just say, I want to be better at scales. Yes, fine. But how? Well, I want to be able to play them all. Okay, fine. Break it down. So let's say I want to be able to play 4 scales, or all of them perfectly. Okay, that could be your first goal. 4 scales perfectly. Begin to it. So you get to that. What is your next goal with getting better at your scales? Let's say you can play them to this metronome level. Why not increase that by 20% and say, okay, well, in a few weeks' time, I want to be 10% better. And a few weeks' time after that, I want to be 10% better again. See what I mean? Very measurable. Then you can then see your progress getting better and better by using that metronome. Making sense so far? Good. Stick with me. We're going to the next letter. And the next letter we have is an A, and that stands for achievable. I've seen some other things on this where they say attainable, achievable. Look, I'm not going to split hairs, guys. Whatever works for you, okay? I'm going to say achievable, so stick with it. So it's no good having a goal which is completely unachievable. I want to be able to play 6 pianos at once. If you can do that, please do make a video and send it to me, because I'd love to see that. 6 pianos at once? That's just a kind of weird mechanical thing with going, yeah. But no, you can't play just your fingers on 6 pianos, and yeah, it just wouldn't happen. You can't play the entire string quartet all on your own. You could argue that you can get a keyboard, a digital keyboard, and do a string sound, and then make, play all the notes of the string quartet on the piano. That's not exactly the same thing. You know what I mean. So it's not achievable. It's got to be something that you're going to be able to do, and this is where your teacher will be able to help, should be able to guide you into what is actually realistic, okay? And that, believe it or not, is the next word as well. R stands for realistic. Again, I want to play the Liszt Hungarian Rhapsody number 2. Great, you're grade 2 now, remember? So what do you think is realistic about this? Well, I want to play it next week. Not realistic. Scrap that. Okay, so I want to be the best player in the world. Great, you want to be the best player in the world. Is it achievable? Yes, it is achievable. Is it realistic? Probably not. If you're a prodigy, great, even then, okay? There are about 5 people in the world that can make a real, they're real genuine superstars in the piano world, and being the best in the world. Ooh, that's a tricky one. You could be the best in the world for one particular person, maybe. My 5-year-old daughter says I'm the best in the world, better than Lang Lang even. To her, she's wrong, of course, but to her, I am. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, be realistic. And then the last one, T, stands for time. That's right, time. And that kind of also then plays into the realistic and the achievable. Going back again to that example of Hungarian Rhapsody number 2, and you've just done your grade 2, playing that by Christmas is not going to happen. That's not realistic. Is it achievable? Yes. Is it realistic to achieve it? Yes, as long as you get the time frame right. If you say in the next 10 years, yeah, that's much more realistic. If you say the next 10 days, no, not realistic. So you can see how all of them kind of fit together. So you need to be specific, you need to be measurable, you need to be achievable, realistic, and there's got to be a time element as well, okay? Follow me so far? Good. Right, next thing is we're going to look at some examples. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So you know me, I do like my exams, so we're going to use that as a bit of an example there. So let's say again, you've just done your grade 2. You might have a longer term goal of getting your grade 8. Great, well done you, fantastic. So is it specific enough for grade 8? Yeah, that's very specific. I mean, you go for an exam, you do the exam, you pass the exam, there you go, you got it. That's how specific it is. You're gonna have to have some things in the middle, how you're gonna achieve it, but that's a whole nother video. Is it measurable? Again, yes. Did you go to the exam? Yes. Did you get a mark which was above 100? Yes, you did. So therefore you go. Sorry, I'm using the Associated Board markings. If you do the Trinity ones, of course that's slightly different. But anyway, so it's measurable. You get a high enough mark, you pass the exam. Is it achievable? Yes. Is it realistic? Yes. Lots of people have got their grade 8s. I mean, it's a very big achievement, obviously, but still lots of people in the world have done it. And then lastly, time-wise, I'm going to do it by next week. No, take a step back. How many years do you think it's going to take you? Maybe another 6 years, 5 years, whatever, 8 years. Depends on your level of progress, obviously. Depends on what that is. But that would be a good goal there, but it's a longer term goal, so you might need to just take grade 8. You might just want to make sure that you get the right time frame. You might need to adjust it as well, but hey, that's something for another time. So then you might talk about medium term goals, shorter term goals. Okay, I've just done my grade 2. What is my next step? Shorter term, actually, I really wanted to play this piece here. Your teacher says, yes, that's a great piece to play. Really good for you, bit of fun, art between exams, fantastic. Okay, so is it specific? I want to play this piece. Yes. How are you going to measure that you're able to play that piece? Your teacher will tell you you can play that piece. Is it achievable? Yes, because teacher said so. Is it realistic? Yes, because it's the right standard. And time frame wise, well, I want to play it by Christmas. Okay, fantastic. There you go. Got it? I want to do my grade 3. Okay, again, you've just done your grade 2. You want to do your grade 3. Is it specific? Yes, it is. I want to do my grade 3. Is it measurable? Yes, again, for all the reasons we mentioned before. Achievable? Yes. Realistic? Yes, is obviously the next step. Time frame wise, giving myself 9 months. Okay, there you go. Scales, again, another example there we used before. I want to be able to play all the grade 3 scales, and I want to get a good mark on my grade 3 exam this time, because I didn't do that well on my scales for my grade 2. I want to get a good one for my grade 3. No, not specific enough. No, what do you mean by good? 21 marks available. I want anything above 17 is going to be good for me. Okay, so I want to get above 17 marks in my grade for my scales in my next grade exam. Okay, fantastic. Right, so how we're going to do that, you're going to need to break that down. Okay, so this is where you might have to have a few separate goals, and Ethan will talk more about that, like I said, in another video. But this one, you might say, I want to do all the major ones, start with all of those, make sure I can go through all of those, get to the right metronome marking, as we mentioned before. Again, covers all the basics. Is it specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Yes. Is it achievable? Yes, it is, unless you... Yeah, of course it's achievable. Stop being ridiculous. Don't give me that nonsense that you can't do scales, because you can. Realistic? Yes, of course. And time bound? Yes, I want to get them all into this date by Christmas, and I want to get them all this date by Easter, which means I'm ready to do the grade in the summer term, and there we go. See what I mean? Okay, so that is it for today. So I always think that, I don't know what it is, but September time and Christmas time, the start of the new year, I always find that those 2 times in the year are good times to reflect on where you are, take stock, and then decide on where you want to go from here. So that's what I always tend to do. I don't know why, it just happens to be natural. I think January, obviously, like Christmas time, New Year, it's a new year, so people are kind of looking at, okay, what do I want to achieve for the next year? And September comes around so quickly, I find. The first half of the year tends to fly by, and then you get summer and everyone just goes, summer, warm weather. Not we've had much good weather this time around, but anyway. And September, start of the school year, the new academic year, so that always feels like a natural time to really think, okay, well, what do I want to do for this, where do I want to be for the next summer kind of thing. So good times to take stock, think about where you are, and where you want to get to. So the only thing left to do then really is to give you a top tip, and we do have one for you here today. And the top tip is, with your goals, write them down. I know it means getting a paper out and pen and going scribble. I hate doing it. I'm not very good at it. I never have been very good at it. And what format do you put it in? It doesn't actually matter too much. I've read many different places. Please, if you know exactly where it is, please do put a comment below saying this is actually something from such and such a person. I think it came from Brian Tracy or Peter Drucker or whoever it is that said this specifically. But by writing it down, you are immediately propelling yourself into the top whatever percentages of people. You're much more likely to actually achieve your goals. By having them front of mind, having them written down, seeing them actually in front of you really does help subconsciously. Somehow, I don't know, I'm not a neuroscientist or brain person, doctor, scientist, fancy, very clever person. No, I'm not very good at that stuff. But it has been shown that it really does help. So whatever you do, write your goals down. Share it with your teacher. Share it with somebody. Make sure, or they can maybe help you keep on track. See what I mean? Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, you know the drill. Please do let me know what you think, what you thought of the video, any other further comments, anything you want me to cover off. Like I said, please, it means so much for me if you would subscribe. Helps me out an awful lot with the channel. And that's it for this time. So thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you next time. Bye for now.